Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game S Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about a blockbuster new release that is taking over Steam and Game Pass and weird new Xbox hardware leaks. We'll get into all of that and more. It's going to be a good one because we have Ben Hanson on the show. Ben, how are you doing?
Hello. Thanks for having me. Doing very well. Thanks for letting me jump in and talk about Subnautica and everything else that good under the sun here.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Good to see you. Man, suddenly a bunch of games are coming out. Would you playing anything in particular right now that is like striking your fancy, or are you just trying to keep up with the conversation? What's going on over there at MinMax?
Thanks for asking. Yeah, Forza Horizon 6 rules naturally.
It's really good, right?
Yeah, just a good time. And like, I feel kind of guilty talking about how much I like the game. I guess on several fronts. One of them is just like, I feel like sometimes I poo-poo the kind of easy popcorn games of their genre, but for some reason, like, easy popcorn racing games get a pass for me. Like, just vomit all over that world map, put icons everywhere.
Yes,
it makes
give
me
tons
happy.
of bullshit.
It's only in that genre. I don't know what it is about Forza Horizon, but if that was like an action adventure game, I would be horrified.
There's something like low stakes about, because, I think it was GameSpot's review that kind of said it in maybe better terms than even I did in my review. It's a great racing game. It's maybe even a better driving game. It's a game just about driving around and seeing that world. And then when you want to do a race, there's a million of them. If you want to do a challenge, there's a million of those. If you want to just take some pictures, if you want to find some hidden areas on the map, it's got a ton of that. And something about being like low stakes, like almost a Sunday drive of a game that then you could turn into a high octane racer when you need it to be. Yeah, I don't know. Give me a ton of that stuff. I go into that game with no intention of seeing credits. I don't even really know what that means for that game. Who cares? Who would care? I just want to drive around. I think that like flips things on its head. 'Cause in an action adventure, you're supposed to overcome it. You're supposed to win that game, solve it, get to the credits. And I think most people can go into this with the expectation that I'm going to hang out in this game by myself or with my friends for as long as I need it. And it's really, really good for that, right?
Yeah, and my best friend in the game, Chaser Zero, whatever that Gundam that's not a Gundam
Zero.
is
That's
called.
what they called it.
Yeah. Hey, Grubb, I got a pop quiz question for you.
Yeah, let's do it.
There's a stumper from the latest episode of the MinMax show. I think it was Stephen Woodson in our community sent this in, and it kind of sent us into a death spiral.
Oh, no.
What is the biggest video game franchise that has never dabbled with any multiplayer?
I saw your social, I think, about this clip, and I was like, man, that is really, and I really, was it Jeffem that was like kind of always knowing, like, or maybe it was Kyle who pointed out that even like Silent Hill had a multiplayer game on like PSP or Vita or some shit like that. It's like,
look at memories.
Yeah, any franchise that is old enough got some sort of weird multiplayer eventually. In most cases,
it's really fun because like that TikTok and Instagram posts, like it's blowing up, and so I've been reading all the comments and just people like correcting themselves. So people be like, "Missed," and it's like, "What? You're forgetting the good name of Uru? Come on,
do not besmirch Uru. We're going to be playing that on the site soon."
And then someone was like, "I think a great suggestion to like Prince of Persia." And someone's like, incorrect. There is a multiplayer mode in the PSP version of Prince of Persia at some point.
Man, that is buck wild. Yeah. I said Vita. The Vita. Arkham is pretty good. Wait, did Arkham
Origins?
Did Arkham
have multiplayer?
That's fucking okay, man. That's nuts. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Because once you start including co-op, which is multiplayer, man, a lot of these games just did straight up have that. Castlevania, says Chuktowski.
No, there's co-op.
There's a multiplayer one. The Xbox Live Arcade one did have. We have played that recently. The Chrono series, 2 games.
See, that's the thing. People are like, "Well, the Hollow Knight series." I'm like, sure, I guess technically, but like we need more than 2 games to make it a.
It's not in the spirit of the question, right? Yeah.
Correct.
Monkey Island.
Honestly, Monkey Island, I think, is a great suggestion.
Yeah.
I think that's up there. The person who wrote in suggested Ace Attorney. I think like that's pretty solid. One that's debatable, but I do like, is technically Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac. If you want to say like that subset of Spider-Man games, I guess.
What's very funny is literally on this computer I'm talking to you on, I have a multiplayer fan-made version of Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man 1 ready to go at any time. Yeah, it's actually really amazing, but of course that's fan-made, so it would not count against this question. I'm gonna keep sitting on this one. This is a fun one. You're right, it's a stumper. But we should, let's get into it. Let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb. Go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. If you do that this week, it's going to count towards a little bar at the bottom of Mike's Donkey Kong 64 marathon stream, which has been going strong all week. He's been doing great work. I think he's going to finish that today. I did not see where he left off last night. He just kept going and going, but he was getting pretty close. So if you become a premium member this week, well, he's already going to 101% the game, which was our first incentive. Now we have one for a premium community voted blight. You get to vote on which one of the 5 owners, that includes Jan and Jerf, you want to see blighted, and we will give you a list of games, depending on who wins, that you could choose from about which game they will end up playing. It's exciting stuff, everybody. So get in there, make your voice heard, become a premium member. You'll get to watch it and vote, and we really appreciate everyone supporting us. It means the world. We're 1 year into our independence. It has been fantastic. I wouldn't change a thing other than just doing more, bigger, and just including more of you in all of the fun.
By the way, it's going to be the biggest landslide in history for Bacalar, isn't it? Like,
I think he's going to win. That would be my bet.
Or lose.
I don't know, because people do just they really enjoy seeing Mike upset, and everyone always wants to punish Dan. Right. And then I've been getting away with it for quite a while now. There was a time where I was mistreated on Blight Club. I was getting Blues Brothers 2000 for a Lightning round, and that game was like nine hours.
Grubb, shut the fuck up. Be cool. Shut the fuck up Friday.
You're right. You know what? You're right. I think it's got to be Jerf. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Subnautica 2 sells 2 million copies in 12 hours with over 600,000 concurrent players. It is a massive hit, and that does not include whatever's happening over on Game Pass. This is from Jordan Miller at VGC. Subnautica has sold over 2 million copies on its first day of early access, with over 600,000 concurrent players in its opening hours. The sequel to the massively popular survival game entered early access on Thursday, just over 1 hour after the game's release. The Subnautica X Twitter account posted an announcement that the game had sold over 1 million copies. Now, within 12 hours, it's sold 2 million copies. We kind of knew that there was a lot of demand for this game, Hanson. This is a game that was like just on the top of the wish list on the charts on Steam for a very long time. Then there's all the weirdness with how the publisher, Krafton, the PUBG people, treated this game and tried to sort of sabotage it so that the developers at the studio who were making Subnautica 2 could not get this $250 million bonus that they would get if this exact thing happened, which is everyone in the world bought the game. So sounds like they might be getting that payday after all, and deservingly so, with a game that is this big, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love the first Subnautica. I dabbled in Below Zero a little bit, and then I jumped into the second game last night, and it's awesome. It's just such satisfying exploration. You know, you forget just how well they kind of put the breadcrumbs out there of like just something on the horizon at all times that you want to go explore. And so I've been enjoying it. And like, part of me just wants to be happy for the developers and just like fully turn the page and be like, can we just not talk about this lawsuit anymore? It's been like, what, a year of just talking about the dumbest, greediest people with this lawsuit.
Just
and like
complete dipshits. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, can we just celebrate? Hey, the devs made a hell of a thing so far in early access. Like, cause I'm sure they are have been drowning in stress, and every headline about this game over the last year has been some dipshit did ChatGPT in the courtroom, just nonsense after nonsense. And so now for them to have this payoff, like literally and emotionally, of the game being a huge hit, like I'm so happy for that team.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they would have loved to like move on after the court case kind of settled it, and then it seemed like Krafton was still sabotaging things, and it's so nice for them to actually have the game out, it perform in the way that they were always hoping it would, and probably well beyond their even some of their wildest imaginations. I said the 600,000 did not include Xbox Game Pass. That actually does. The Steam numbers for concurrent players was 467,000. And then when you combine that with Xbox Game Pass as well, it's over 650,000 concurrent players at its peak. But I believe the 2 million copies sold is just straight up copies sold. So that would not necessarily include people playing it because of Game Pass. Man, yeah. So we are in a time now where everyone talks about how treacherous it is to like make a big video game, and people are so bifurcated across different platforms, and they get into their genres in a really hard way, and they don't necessarily look up and look at the next game, and like a PlayStation game can come to PC and people kind of yawn, or some of them. But there are these games still that, and usually they have a slightly lower price, or they are early access, or they are, in the tree punching genre, what like Subnautica is. And these ones still can just fly off the digital shelves, and they kind of penetrate into the mainstream. Sean, producing today, thank you, was mentioning to me yesterday that he's had people in his life kind of come up and ask about Subnautica. These games are almost the new mainstream hits in a lot of ways, and I think it really helps that they are big, beefy games that aren't $70, Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. So Subnautica 2 is $30. I think that helps in a big way. And price difference noted, but I think of like how happy it felt like the industry was when Pragmata has now sold like 2 million copies. It's like, oh my God, it's a miracle. Games are selling. And meanwhile, like, a game like Windrose on Steam also sold 2 million copies. And it's like, okay, that's nice. Survival stuff, that's nice. But it's like, the momentum is with this genre still, as much as kind of more console gamers might not want to acknowledge it, but it's nice that, these games at a cheaper price point are selling.
Yeah, I mean, we saw recently Slay the Spire 2 rush to like 500,000 concurrents. I think that puts it in like the top 20 for best launched, best launches on Steam, as far as we could tell through concurrent players or whatever. But obviously, a lot of people bought Slay the Spire 2. So I think people just really want games that feel substantial, that they know that they're going to spend a lot of time with, and you compare that to something like Soros at $70. I think people do just kind of talk themselves out of spending that amount of money, even if it is a game that most people tend to agree is fantastic. Most people seem to love Soros. But people are pinching their pennies, and I don't think that means people are running away from video games. It sounds like these bigger publishers are going to have to get a little bit more like looser with how they approach putting out video games, but I don't know, do they have it in them to like follow in the footsteps of something like a Subnautica or the Slay the Spire, or is that almost a different language of making video games?
It is a different language because it's early access, and I know they all have their ways of kind of sort of doing early access, like Dreams. I'm trying to think of other early access stuff on PlayStation side. It's not very often.
I mean, PlayStation kind of had a no early access rule for quite some time. I think they've softened it, even if they don't have the equivalent of what Xbox has, which is like the game preview thing. Even that is a little bit more limited than Steam's. Just like, put your game out and just tell people it's not finished and you can do whatever. And that's really worked out for Steam. But you're right, it's different, and it's going to be difficult for these big companies to take their massive budgets and their proclivity to always hit home runs and kind of be like, we can do that if we make stuff that is actually legitimately like smaller but more focused, or is unfinished, and we listen to the community. They kind of can't get away with that. Like they've trained their audience to expect the biggest, most polished, most expensive video games. And it's hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube.
I'm wondering if the best option for that type of thing in the future is like State of Decay 3. If they release just kind of like a cheaper, scrappier State of Decay 3, we don't need this to be a huge MMO. We don't need that zombie deer running in 8K, whatever the hell's going on there, and it's like maybe there would be a lane that they could pick, just have like, hey, early access, get it out there for a cheap price and see if it could gain momentum.
This is another thing about early access. I mean, I see people in chat saying it, and I don't blame anyone who's been burned before not wanting to ever buy early access again. But clearly, it seems like a lot of people do not feel that way. I don't want to say most people, but it seems like a lot of people just do not feel that way. They feel like they are getting something out of early access. At the very least, you're getting a game that might not be finished, but you're getting it at a price that typically is lower than what it will be when it goes into 1.0. That usually is how things go. They'll like raise it by $10 or something. So I think people are just happy to get in there and see what's going on and be a part of not part of the development, but part of the story of like how the game did develop over time. And Subnautica is sort of a poster child for that.
And even thinking of Dead as Disco, which launched in like a pretty rough early access version, not too long ago here. And it seems like that's kicking butt too. Like I've seen so many, YouTube videos pop up my feed where it's like, hey, here's a Michael Jackson song with Dead as Disco, and it has like 800,000 views. It just seems like it's a self-generating promotion machine at this point, with people being able to upload their own music. So
Yep, I hope so. I would love to see even more of that. It feels like that game is going to get over the hump there. It just needs a little bit more time. So yeah, good luck
for sure.
to all that. All right, let's keep going here. 2 unannounced Xbox controllers surface, including the Elite Series 3 and a cloud gaming pad. This is from Jordan Midler at VGC. Images of what reportedly show 2 new Xbox controllers have appeared online, including an Elite Series 3 and what is claimed to be an Xbox Cloud gaming controller. Images posted by Technoblog claim to show 2 new peripherals from Microsoft, one of which would be a continuation of its popular premium controller line, and another which would mark a new line of controllers from the publisher. The so-called Xbox Cloud controller features a flat, rectangular pad. Kind of reminds me of like an 8-bit Do controller. There's some that are in the style of this. It's got 2 smaller grips on either side, not substantial grips. The controller seemingly features all of the buttons of a standard Xbox controller, but in a much smaller form factor. I guess because maybe people might throw it into a bag, like a laptop bag or something.
Get it in your pocket, I guess. Maybe. Even though, like, analog stick sliding into your pocket, everyone knows how that feels. It feels terrible.
It feels awful. Yes, I'll do it, but I'm a monster. Let's see here. They also say that the triggers and shoulder buttons are much more Joy-Con like. The top of the controller features a new button next to a cloud logo, which appears to hint at what the controller will be used for. People are speculating that button will switch between a direct connection to a console or PC, and then a direct connection over Wi-Fi to the cloud server. We've seen that in the Stadia controller. There's Amazon Luna had a controller like that as well. Everyone's talking about Amazon Luna. But I still get that idea, and I get that idea for this pad in particular. But does this feel like maybe, and we'll get to the Elite Series 3 here in a second, but does this feel like maybe part of a strategy that is left over, where they're like, hey, we have to have our cloud controller for where cloud is going to be really, really big for us, and now it's not as big anymore, and they still have this thing? Is that what you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it is weird. There are so many things that were kind of on the runway, and now that things are changing drastically, it does just feel like, how much is Asha Sharma and the new team going to get behind this kind of stuff? Even, you talked about in the Bombcast, I feel like, but even that idea of making the next Xbox more open and more PC-like, it's like, doesn't feel like that's the priority or the messaging that the new team is passionate about. And they can still square that circle, but it does feel a little bit like this is in the everything's an Xbox design era being pushed forward.
It definitely does. And so it's like, how are they going to, thread that needle if both of these things get announced at like the upcoming Xbox showcase that will happen around Summer Game Fest? I'm very curious to see. I really don't know what that messaging would look like. The Elite Series 3, meanwhile, it's similar to the second series controller. This is their premium range. $180 to $220. I want to say. I can't remember where it's priced these days. It does have scroll wheels underneath, like on the base of the controller, kind of where you're like the crook of your thumb and index finger, like where that would go. And it's like, I do wonder about those. Sean, again, was telling me, it's like he thinks that those are for adjusting the tension on the analog sticks. And I could see that, because it's like, if you're playing a game, going down there and messing with the scroll wheel doesn't feel great. But I guess if you were just navigating stuff, I guess, why do you need 2 of them then? That's the thing. I don't know why you need 2 scroll wheels.
As somebody who is a fan of the Steam controller, do you feel like we're kind of just over-designing controllers at this point? It's just becoming the Homer car?
Yeah, I think like maybe the Steam controller sort of gave everyone else maybe a green light to do that. The Steam controller just makes a ton of sense when you turn on a PC and you need just one device to control a PC and like open up Steam, and the Steam controller's like, hey, we got the trackpads, and it's going to register as a mouse and keyboard until you open up Steam, so that you don't have to like futz with anything else. It's just the computer's going to be able to recognize it. Yeah. All that stuff just makes a ton of sense, and it fits with its use case. This stuff feels like we can get away with this now because controllers look like the Homer. Yes, I do think that there's something to that, Ben.
Yeah, I don't know. That said, I do want a Steam controller. I do want to mess around with this stuff a little bit.
Yes.
It's also very petty, but just seeing gut reactions of the Xbox Elite 3 here, it's like, just the D-pad still weirds me out. Just the whole
Yeah.
circular thing. I know how that's going to
It's
feel.
definitely going to
It's not
be,
gonna great.
you're definitely going to be able to swap them out, of course. So like
Sure.
the question will be like, what is the underlying like membrane mechanism that they're using to read inputs? And that could still be very good, and you'll be able to swap it out for the shape of D-pad that you actually do like. But this default one, the circular pad with like the little nubs that stick out, so you know where
Yeah.
northwest and south, east and south are. Yeah, that's a little bit like, oh, I just don't like the way that feels, especially if I'm moving my thumb around a D-pad for fighting games. But yeah, it doesn't necessarily feel like this controller was made for fighting games. Yeah, I think that we will probably hear about these at Summer Game Fest or around that time. Xbox has had a lot of luck selling controllers. Like if, for all the talk about Xbox hardware and the future of the Xbox console, Xbox controller, no one really complains about those all too much other than maybe the build quality of the Elite. And
Sure.
then they have been adopted as the default controller on PC for a very long time now, a very long time. And I think that is a business that they don't want to lose because controllers typically have high margins, way better margins than selling actual consoles. But you kind of need to sell consoles really to still sell controllers. So it feels like, that they will like to have these things so they can have them in GameStops and still make some money from them. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you get people too excited about new controllers beyond, I guess the Steam controller did, so it can work. But yeah, I don't really know. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, I am curious, and I'm sorry to be so petty and shallow, but I think about it in terms of what is Asha Sharma tweeting about?
Yeah.
I don't use Twitter anymore, but like several times, I'll be like, I want to see just what she's pumping out there, what she's messaging. Not a lot of kiln love, which is damning. I wish I saw it coming from her account, but it's like, will she tweet out about the cloud controller, or is it going to be one of those things of like, yeah, we're trying to focus on cool Xbox brand stuff again, and messaging cloud controllers seems like the antithesis of her trying to ingratiate herself with the cool gamer crowd,
Yep. Yeah. There's also some maybe new design language on some of these controllers. We'll see if that's something that will hold true when these things actually launch. These could be these could be prototypes. I believe these controllers were leaked because they were submitted to electronics ratings agencies that will rate how much interference they have and stuff like that. So there's no guarantee that what we're looking at will be what the final controllers actually end up looking like, but we'll see very soon.
How cute though if it was like a mini Duke. Can you imagine like a Duke but the size of a Joy-Con? Wouldn't that be cute? Don't you want to touch a little Duke?
Put it on my keychain. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Swing it around like a weapon still. It still weighs 15 pounds for some reason. I would love that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back, talk about more headlines after this. If you want to skip out on these ad messages, giantbomb.com/join or become a YouTube member. We will be right back. We are back. It's Game Mess Mornings. I'm Jeff Grubb. That's Ben Hanson. Let's get back into these headlines with Lego 2K Drive is being delisted from digital storefronts next week. This is from Alana Heggs at Nintendo Life. Lego 2K Drive is a fun little racer, perhaps not as open as we expected, but it's creative, bright, and great to play with kids. But as of next week, it looks like you won't be able to buy the game from digital storefronts like the eShop anymore. Spotted by Delisted Games, a disclaimer for Visual Concepts' Lego Racer has popped up on Steam, the Epic Games Store, PSN, and Xbox, stating that you won't be able to purchase the game as of the 19th of May, 2026. Online servers will remain open until May 31st, 2027. At the time of this writing, the eShop doesn't have the disclaimer. I believe it did get the disclaimer since they posted this. Hey, this has happened with other racing and driving games, Ben. We've seen them get delisted. Forza games. It's happened to them a bunch of times. And it seems like the reason is always licensed cars. So I went and looked to see, does Lego 2K Drive have licensed cars? And it does. I guess it's not like a ton. There's McLarens, there's Dodges, and there's Nissans. And Ben, I just got part of me, and this is definitely me being someone who's way more into video games than he is into cars. Where does the auto industry get off on this? Come on. Who cares if your car is still playable in a video game 10 years from now? how does that affect anything? How does it hurt you? Do you really
Yeah.
need to keep getting paid for that? It just doesn't make a difference. But apparently that's how these contracts have worked over and over and over again. And it puts us in a situation where these games do get delisted.
God.
Bizarre, right?
Yeah.
Especially for Lego 2K Drive.
Can we have just something built into the code like 10 years down the road, these cars will magically transform. You know, the decals, hood ornament will pop
Yeah.
off. It'll have some weird lumps on it. Just, I don't care what this car looks like, especially for the Lego stuff. It's such a bummer for the stuff to be nuked from orbit just for, music or the car rights,
Yeah,
Why
it's
doesn't it?
like build in the
What?
trapdoors to deal with that, right? Like just like predict that this will happen, and like on this date, those cars, yeah, just do that. But I guess people can still buy the original Who cares? I still don't get why anyone cares.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a bummer too because like I like this game. Before
Me too.
Mario Kart
I had fun.
World, I was like, oh, this is a cool game to play with kids. I thought it was a nice experience, split screen, kind of open world-ish going around and stuff. But it makes me think about like my gut reaction was like, oh, this is probably the real sign that the game didn't sell that well. And I don't know if
I,
they ever released sales for this thing
I
overall.
don't think it did. I don't think it did fantastic.
Yeah,
That's my general like memory of like the weeks following the game, and then I don't think it ever sort of recovered from there. But I did not check in on it again. At the very least, Ben, I think you're right that this says it did not sell enough to sort of hassle themselves at Visual Concepts with fixing whatever would be required to be fixed to keep the game up and running. It's more cost effective to everyone involved to just delist this thing and forget about it and move on. And that's true for big racing games like Forza, but those have hundreds of licensed cars. That one,
yeah,
I'm like, it's easier to kind of understand how that happens, even if it's still really stupid that you have to delist it because you have licensed cars. For this game, it doesn't seem like it's the bulk of the drivable vehicles, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's more than these ones I saw here. But I don't know. Where do you think like these kinds of family-based or even just non-core racing games are at? Like Lego 2K Drive really felt like it was coming in a moment where arcade racers were resurgent.
yeah.
But I guess that doesn't mean that all of them are guaranteed to sell.
No, I'm with you. And like, I really love Screamer that came out this year. I want to go back to it. Playing Forza Horizon 6 has reminded me,
Yeah.
like, oh, that's right. I need to finish Screamer's campaign
Yeah.
because that's one that I do want to roll credits on because it's got that story focus and stuff. But it makes me think as well of Lego Party, a game I know you all love, and it's so
Love.
great, and it's going after Mario Party the same way this is going after Mario Kart, and I feel like both went at the king and got decapitated sales wise, and it's a bummer because like they're both well done, and I don't know what the lesson here is. If Lego and a well designed game can't try and take a tiny slice of that Nintendo pie, like who can?
Yep, yeah, for sure. And now for Lego Party, it seems like they have that's like one of the few Lego games recently that has not been like let's rely on some licensed stuff. And is there anything in there that is licensed like equivalent to like a McLaren or something like that? Not that I can think of.
I wouldn't think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
hot dogs in general. I don't think they had to
Yeah,
license those.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons the game didn't do well. I mean, chat pointed out like Lego games typically do need a license to make people
Yeah.
care, and that's unfortunate because Lego is just popular, but Lego has really shifted into a vehicle for IP, and that's one of the reasons it's grown recently. And now people kind of like, I don't get excited about Lego unless it's attached to some other thing. And yeah, I do feel like that might be one of the reasons Lego Party could not find its audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember visiting Traveler's Tales, old TT Games, back at Game Informer for the cover story on Lego Marvel Superheroes, I think, and just talking with those folks about Lego and whatnot. And they said at that time, maybe it's shifted since then. They said at that time that the best selling Lego sets were Lego City.
Yeah, yes, I bet they were, but it's like, I think it probably has shifted. Because
Yeah,
like Lego
probably.
City Undercover did really well at that time too. Like
Yeah,
that was a very
yep.
popular game. They haven't really followed up with that. Now maybe that's just leadership being like, we like working with IP and we see the potential for growth, and Lego City and Lego Space stuff can continue selling over there. But that's just not the sense I get.
Yep.
I am, this is especially frustrating because this game is only 3 years old. It's
Yeah.
3 years old, and to get delisted, and that's delisted digitally. That this is something where like we talk about, like this is the problem with digital games. But like there was a time where like there were no digital options, and the game would just disappear from store shelves and you'd never be able to find it new again. So
Yeah.
while this is still annoying, games going away from being able to be purchased new is not some new thing. It's just it doesn't feel like it should work that way. It's like you got it out there, you did the work. We should be able to give you money to get access to that, regardless of what McLaren and Dodge have to say. It just continues to frustrate me quite a bit.
Yeah. On the 2K front,
Yeah.
maybe I'm fascinated by this too much, but have you been following that Project Ethos thing?
Remind me what that is.
It's from Michael Condrey, who was over at Sledgehammer for a long time on Call of Duty
Right.
and whatnot. But yeah,
Right.
he left and formed a new studio 2K called 31st Union, I believe. And then they revealed in like a really quiet way this free-to-play third-person shooter called Project Ethos. And it hasn't officially been canceled. It's still up there apparently. Condrey has been fired apparently and let go of the studio. And it's just like trying to get a grasp on what 2K is doing right now. This is the one that I'm just fascinated by. It feels like one of those Ubisoft projects of just kind of like a quiet trial balloon, you know?
Yes, it looks a lot like one of those Ubisoft multiplayer shooters that was happening where, God, I can't remember the one they had that was very like drenched in neon. This one looks a lot like that.
Yeah.
Huh.
I don't know. Just weird time for 2K. I feel like everyone over there is just kind of bracing for GTA 6 to kick the doors down.
Michael Condrey did he work on the Dead Space games?
Yeah, he was at Visceral before Sledgehammer. Yeah.
Visceral, yes. He was with he had that like
Glenn.
partner. Yes, yeah,
Glenn
right.
Schofield, yeah.
Glenn Schofield, right. And Glenn Schofield and Michael Condrey do feel like they've had like just kind of nothing but trouble since all that stuff shook out from
those bad boys.
Those bad boys. Yeah.
And I don't know. I would like to think that they're on good terms still, but I don't know
who
if
knows?
if they're still buddies. But there was actually a good, was it Cade Ondor? I think their name was. They made a good YouTube documentary about
It's great.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Did you watch that?
I have not, but I know Cade, so yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. And that had both of them interviewed separately talking about Modern Warfare 3, the original Modern Warfare 3. And so I feel like I saw a lot of Condrey recently, but that video is a good reminder. It's like, yeah, that was a fascinating project on several fronts. It's like coming off the heels of the lawsuit and Infinity Ward and then leading into the big leak through Kotaku of Modern Warfare 3. And that game's kind of crammed together weird nature. It's a good video.
All right, let's stick with 2K. WWE 2K developers hit hardest by visual concept layoffs. This is from Mike Straw at Insider Gaming. The layoffs at Visual Concepts appear to have hit the WWE development team more than those working on NBA 2K. Insider Gaming has learned that though the layoffs were company-wide, the team working on WWE games have been hit the hardest. That includes both the main WWE 2K team and those who worked on the WWE 2K25 Netflix edition. As far as how many people were caught up in the layoffs, multiple sources have said it wasn't insignificant, but none were able to provide an actual number. Going back to the WWE 2K25 Netflix edition, despite it performing well in terms of downloads and reviews, sources within Netflix say that those in charge felt it didn't, quote, meet expectations. One source bluntly said they expected it to be something it was never designed to be, a mobile game. Sources say that despite promises for management at Take-Two, painting a rosy picture of everything being fine, that wasn't truly the case. Leadership lied the whole time, saying that the game was fine and great, one source said. After the release of WWE 2K25 Netflix Edition, Netflix opted not to renew its deal for Netflix editions of 2K26 or WWE 2K27. That left an entire team without projects moving forward. Netflix got their pop on the charts, another said, and then implying that once it got the pop, like Netflix does, if it doesn't continue to grow, they don't care anymore and they cut their losses and run. This one, I guess, when you look at it from the side of Netflix lost interest and isn't going to do those games anymore, it makes some sense about like why the WWE team got hit a little bit harder. But WWE, those games sell really well, and I feel like this last one we heard sold extremely well. And yes, I think it did. Yeah,
is that like hype for WWE is on the upswing and just kind of rides that?
No. But the people who buy the games show up for the games, and this one, I think they sell their annual releases. You can rely on them. It's weird that even those teams, though, are getting hit with layoffs. I think that's where, like, if we take the Netflix side out of it, I'm still like, okay, yeah. So the WWE core team also got hit with layoffs. So did the NBA team, I guess, a little bit. It's just weird that, like, I thought these would be the safe places for these people to go to work, and even that is treacherous.
And that's the studio that made 2K Drive as well, And so maybe I'm connecting these dots too much of thinking that's another reason why 2K Drive didn't sell well and stuff. But yeah, they were working on so many different games, and for them to get that big of a blow. But I think it just falls into that camp of American developers in particular, especially in California,
Yeah.
the easiest to axe by far because of those prices.
Yep. Is that where Visual Concepts is in California?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right. I always like, because for me, the sports developers, I always conflate Visual Concepts and Tiberian or whatever the fuck they're called, and they're in Orlando. Sure. But it's like, yeah, that would still be expensive.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. So WWE, yeah, those games just sell to a different audience. Once again, as chat points out, than actually people who are excited about the television show. Yeah, I think that last game did do very well. I don't know if they're ever like, if they end the year on like the top 10 chart from Circana, but they're close at the very least.
And the AEW game, that came out like 2 years ago or something? Has that just been like silent since? Are they ever going to make another one?
Yeah, I think they might make another one day, but it did not sell in such a way where it guaranteed that they would get to work on another one right away. So,
and that's like for shoot.
That is
Whatever
yes, Ben. That is for
you guys
shoot.
Say? Okay.
Yes, that is for shoot. And it's not dumb crap. It's Carney talk.
Oh, that's right.
Carnies around here.
Noble Carney talk.
The noble Carney is respected at Giant Bomb. Marathon is getting 2 new PvE modes in Season 2. This is from Insider Gaming. Bungie has revealed that Marathon is slated to get 2 new experimental PvE modes going into Season 2, which is named Nightfall. Where are we at with PvE? Should we explain what that is? There's a chance that someone listening doesn't know what PvE is.
I guess so.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, PvE would just be like cooperative multiplayer with no other enemies that are people coming to kill you. That would be PvP, player versus player. This is player versus environment. So just think of it as a typical cooperative mode. You might think, hey, that's not what Marathon was advertised as. Marathon. It was supposed to be you go into the world, and the major primary threat is other players, and that's where all of the conflict comes from. But Marathon might be in a situation where they're like, God, this game, we know the people who love it, and they think it's really, really, really good. And there seems to be this audience that is sort of like tepid about trying it. They are trepidatious about like going in there and spending their money, $40 on this game that they might be too intimidated by. Right. How can we make it friendlier? And it's like, well, Marathon's not supposed to be friendly. Do you have a sort of a vision problem here where it's like it was meant to be one thing, and now you need it to be something else in order to reach a certain sales milestone that you're trying to get to? Obviously, they have to try some stuff if they need this game to be making more money. But do you think this is the right move, Ben?
I think it's... I don't know. Is the fan base outraged about how dare you try stuff? It feels like this is the time when you try some new modes, see what catches on. When the game has like as they put it, like a passionate player base, people do love it. It just needs something else to break out of orbit. And I feel like it's the right time for like, let's try some variants, not take anything away from the core modes that people like, but see if something can get more people through this door.
Yeah, I think that's... I think most people, like people again in chat, are saying not outraged. This is the kind of thing where I will just play the way I want to play, and I bet even many people who do play PvP would be willing to try this out. I think back to the last game I remember doing this where it was a little bit weird was Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves was like the whole idea of that game is to get into interactions with other players. Like they kind of don't have a lot of real progression because they just wanted to keep a pure experience of like you're in there with other players. And that's where the magic happens. And people are like, yeah, but a lot of other players are super big assholes, and I just want to feel good about collecting my treasures. And there was years of just like, well, yeah, but that's not the game. And then one day it was the game. And I don't think that necessarily seemed to hurt Sea of Thieves. Sea of Thieves had established what it was about for a certain audience. And then like for the people that were intimidated or felt mistreated by other players, they could go have their siloed off experience with just their friends. And it's like, yeah, okay. It seems like adding more should not take away from the core thing that you're trying to do. But that was after years. Marathon, it does feel like pretty quick shifting of gears. But I think I agree with you, Ben, that like now's the time to do this. Just give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah, just put a deathmatch mode in there. Let everybody make the Concord comparisons. Just head right at it. And look, call me a heretic or whatever you want in the chat, but like, I bounced off Marathon. I wanted to like it. I think it's cool as hell. The vibes are fantastic. I just didn't want to play it anymore. But I was like, if there was just like a simple, stupid deathmatch mode, like the shooting feels so good. I think I jump back in for that, but I understand that I'm probably way in the minority there.
I mean, I mean, there's definitely people who feel that way, or just like the idea of, I get that this game is supposed to be about interactions with other players, but what if I just like going in there and shooting like video game characters and collecting stuff? And it's like, oh yeah, there's been a lot of games that play that way. So that being the thing that you like makes a ton of sense. And this game being from a studio that's done games like that before, yeah, it makes a ton of sense. I mean, that was what Destiny was. Destiny had a deathmatch mode, but its main thing was PvE. And then they found ways to bring PvP into it for sure. But yeah, so I think there's people who would be like, of course, that's what I want from Bungie, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, Square Enix wants to further promote its multi-platform strategy, especially on Switch 2. I feel like we talk about this story pretty frequently, but the fact that they keep reiterating it, I think is worth bringing up. Square Enix has already shown strong support for the Switch 2 with major series such as Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. And it won't be stopping anytime soon, according to the company's CEO, Takashi Kiryu. Following the third-party giant's latest financial results, Kiryu noted how the plan was to continue the company's multi-platform strategy, especially on Nintendo's new hybrid hardware. Here's the scoop, courtesy of senior analyst David Gibson, who was, I think, in the room listening to Kiryu talk about this. We will polish promising IPs, and so that we can deliver certain upside from those new IPs. On top of that, we'd like to further promote the multi-platform strategy, especially on the Switch 2. Switch 2, is almost a year old. It is at a point now where I think third parties got a good grasp, but not just on working on making games for the system, Ben, but kind of what they can expect from the audience who purchases Switch 2 games. And I do think if there is a third-party publisher that is fit to match up with that audience, it does feel like it should be Square Enix. I think that people like playing JRPGs on a handheld. That is something that is that I know multiple people in my life who feel that way. And Switch and Switch 2 became their JRPG machine where applicable. And it just, unfortunately, in most cases, was not applicable to Square Enix games. Square Enix spotting this as an opportunity. I'm glad that they are sticking with it, even through this like early time period where we look at how third-party games are doing on Switch 2. And a lot of times it's head scratching. It's like, this game seems like it might be doing really well. And this game that's on the card crushed. And this other one didn't. And it's just hard to like read the tea leaves here. But I think Square Enix is right to keep pursuing it. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. It is odd. It's like, okay, Cyberpunk, I think did okay on there. I was in the airport a little while ago and I saw some kid next to me playing Switch 2. And of course, like a creeper, I'm always like, I gotta look and see what they're playing over there.
What's he up to?
And he was playing Hitman on Switch, and I was like, sweet.
Oh, really?
Like,
That's awesome.
A 10-year-old kid playing Hitman? All right, I'm all for it.
I'm
all for the violence. Why not? But it is fun to think of like the big picture too, of just like if you want to go back to Super Nintendo, PlayStation, the idea of the betrayal of Final Fantasy leaving Nintendo behind, and now they're coming crawling back, saying we need to be on that system. And so I'm curious specifically if Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 will launch day and date on Switch 2.
I'm pretty sure it's going to. Like, it feels like that's what they keep setting this all up. Like, honestly, at this point, it would be a little weird to keep talking this way and not have that game ready for Switch 2. And I think the only reason it would be the case, or that would be the case, is if it just is a little bit of a headache to get that game up and running on Switch 2, which is maybe possible, but
I'm sure it is. Yeah. I mean,
but between Remake and Rebirth, it's like, okay, Rebirth, a little bit of more of a downgrade because it was more ambitious, and we would expect the third one to be even more so, but they're sticking with the same engine. They're sticking with the same tools. And now they know that they're putting this thing out on the Switch 2. And it's not like we're like months away from that game coming out. Feels like it's a little bit more than that. I guess maybe this thing is coming out before the end of this year. I guess I don't know. But even in that case, I think they would try to have it ready for the Switch 2.
I think they're going to wait until next year for the 30th anniversary.
I think so too. Yes. Yeah.
I think that makes sense for easy messaging. But yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean, on the Square front for this year, it's like the adventures of Elliot, our dear boy Elliot. Oh, how we love him.
We think about Elliot constantly over here. Yeah.
Rest in peace, Elliot, or whatever you're doing.
Whatever. Probably dying. Yeah.
But like, I think that was like a Nintendo Direct reveal, right? Wasn't that one of the Nintendo indies? So it seems like they're already kind of partnering up and buddying up in that way. So that'll be the big push, I'd imagine, for this year.
Yeah, Philadelphia. That's right. Yeah.
Philadelphia.
Go Builds. That's what we say. Yeah. Oh man, yeah, Elliot is a Philadelphia name for sure. A Philabilia, excuse me.
Hell yeah.
I think this financial report from Square Enix was a lot of good like rays of sunshine for them, because I think there was a couple years in the past there where they released a lot of games and they all sort of mushed together, I think, in people's minds, and they like many of them did not perform well. And now out of this financial report, Square Enix saying that Final Fantasy Tactics and Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, and maybe 7 Reimagined all did pretty well. So
Yeah.
Square Enix is saying that? They never say that about their games. It's like, okay, maybe they have begun to figure out the best way to dole these games out, how to find their audience, how to talk to that audience again. And it's going to help being on the Switch too, because the audiences do match up quite a ton.
Yeah, well, it's the old classic. If it was a Western developer within Square that made it, they would say it sold like dog shit. But
That's
you know what?
true. That's
These are doing okay.
Time, yeah, tales old as time. All right, let's get these last few stories here. They're quicker ones. PS Plus May catalog includes Star Wars Outlaws, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Time Crisis. I am a Star Wars Outlaws defender, that's the main reason I'm putting that in here. May 19th is when I think these games should begin dropping. Worth pointing out, Time Crisis, that is a classic game, so that's premium only. The other games, including or not including Time Crisis, would be on the middle tier, which I can never remember what that's called.
No one
could. Yeah, extra. PS Plus Extra. I wrote it down. I should have just read that. Yeah.
Do you feel like everyone, good games, happy they're on there? Are people, is the average gamer paying attention to this still? I feel like it's just got to be a blur, right? Like,
I mean, like
they're
compare
paying
contrast,
off.
like this week, if you're a Game Pass subscriber on Ultimate, you're going to get Subnautica 2 and Forza Horizon 6. I think people, I think they pay attention to that. That still feels good. Getting these games months later, I think there's definitely an audience that's just like, hell yeah, this is the reason I have PlayStation Plus Extra.
Right.
They put the games in there around the time when I would be looking to spend maybe $20 on them anyhow. And so here they are, and I could just play them as part of this thing that I already have, in part to like play Call of Duty or to play my basketball game online or something like that.
Yeah.
So there are those people out there that care, but is the average person paying attention? I don't know, Ben. I really don't.
It reminds me it's in the same window as like the Epic Game Store, just giving away so many free games. And we had somebody write into the MinMax show a while ago, and there's like, hey, I've been grabbing every free Epic Game Store game. Here's a list of everything that I've got. And it's like, oh my God. Like, it's just an unbelievable amount of free stuff, but still most people are just like, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people get used to their way of doing things, and even giving them free games cannot break them out of that for the most part. Although I think Epic's had more success with that than any of their other strategies. So free games do still move the needle somewhat. Tomodachi Life surpassed 1 million copies physically sold in Japan. So just the physical copies. They updated the Famitsu chart after Golden Week. They took a week off for Golden Week. Golden Week also a little bit like Christmas in Japan. I'm not some expert on Japanese culture, but that is what people have told me before. So I bet gift giving is involved, and I bet that did help sell some things. They sold 214,000 Switch 2s, but they also sold 40,000 Switch 1s. I think a big part of that is because of Tomodachi Life. For comparison, 23,000 PS5s. So fewer PS5s sold than Switch 1s, and Tomodachi Life is probably largely to thank there. But yeah, Tomodachi Life finding its audience in Japan for sure. But they confirmed that game's around 4 million copies sold. So globally, that's very well done.
Subnautica could only dream of hitting Tomodachi numbers.
Yeah, and it's never a chance in hell. Lego Zelda Great Deku Tree is being set to be retired. This story from Nintendo Everything says, here's a bunch of places where you can get it, but you probably should go out there and try to find it right now before the thing gets retired for good. And they do that with Lego sets, but I don't know. I almost forgot about this thing, the Great Deku Tree. When I think about, hey, what would make a good Lego set? I'm like, they should do a Deku Tree. And it's like, oh, they did do that. And I always just forget about it. I think because when I look at it, it's like, I don't know. And it's not moving me too much, but I know some people care.
I mean, how much?
Deku. All right, thank you.
How much is this going for? $300.
Yeah, 300 big ones sounds right.
2,500
pieces, yes.
I'm going to have a controversial statement on this here podcast. I'm all down for eating the rich. You know, we got to start
with the Lego guys.
I think you start with the fucking Lego guys. Every time I see somebody like at a Target with a huge Lego that's like $600, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Stop it. Lego buyers, stop it. It's the greatest ripoff on earth. And I loved Lego as a kid. I could get 4 million Lego bricks probably for $5 on Facebook Marketplace. Stop giving them this money because it shows a picture of Mario on it, please.
That is true. You probably can go to your grandma's house and go in her basement and find a tub full of Lego right now, everybody.
Do it.
Yeah.
Don't knock. Break a window in Granny's house. Go get those
you don't even have to
Legos.
talk to her. If you're not talking to her because she's MAGA now, just go break in there.
Yeah, make your
steal
own
MAGA
Deku
grandma's
tree.
Lego.
Is it too much to ask?
That is our official position here at Giant Bomb. All right, that does it for the headlines, everybody. Let's get on to the poll question from yesterday. I'm going to reset and refresh, make sure I have the most up-to-date results. 4.2 thousand votes on do you care about realistic graphics? Yes or no were your options. I know we keep it simple, like just I want to get people's gut reactions. 79% say no, I do not care about realistic graphics. 21% say they do. Again, I know that like oversimplifies things, but I like doing that with these polls sometimes. Ben, I'm like, I answered no because, gun to my head, do I care about realistic graphics? I mean, look, I like thinking about the technology, but when I'm playing a game, I don't care.
Yeah.
I just don't care these days. How about you?
Right. No, I'm totally with you. Save it for some Unreal showcase that I can look at on YouTube and be like, that looks good. But like when I'm playing it, I don't really care. Yeah.
For me, it's like realism in the simulation of the world. I love that stuff because I think it leads to emergent gameplay. That I care much more about that, and I don't need it to look realistic to get those feelings. All right, that is the poll question from yesterday. No new poll question because it's Friday. We're wrapping up the week. It's going to be time for the Bomb 12. We'll get to the 12 games that really matter to people who are really playing video games here in a moment. Before we do that, though, Ben Hanson, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet, what you have going on, and all that good stuff?
Yeah, MinMax. You can subscribe to the MinMax show on your favorite podcast app or check out youtube.com/MinMax. We got a lot going on there. New episode of the podcast just went live with more Forza thoughts, Stranger Than Heaven thoughts, Mina the Hollower preview thoughts. And also, we had a fun rapid fire interview about Mina the Hollower that went up on our YouTube channel this week. And we brought in guest interviewer Kyle Bossman from Delayed Input, formerly VZ Allies. But I'm such a fan of Kyle, and so had a nice call with him a while ago, just being like, hey, we should do more together. He's not joining the MinMax team or anything, but like we should just have some fun one-offs. And I was like, I think you'd be good at rapid fire. I was like, what would you want to do? And he's like, oh, Mina the Hollower. Like he said it immediately. And I was like, I wouldn't think of doing that for that. But yeah, it's super fun to put together. But then also, we are doing a deepest dive on 007 First Light, which is like our multi-part game club discussion, creating the best, most thorough discussion about that game on the internet. Leo Vader, Hitman's #1 fan of the world, is going to be hosting that one. And so that's going to be trickling out. We're going to have 3 episodes after that game launches. So you can submit comments and we're going to break the game up into huge chunks. And Leo always cites Giant Bomb, talking about that, like when the Hitman levels were staggered releases, that he's like, that was some of my favorite Giant Bomb content ever, is just to have like those in-depth discussions about every single level in Hitman. And so to bring some of that spirit with a game club for 007 First Light, I think is going to be fun.
I am with you and with Leo on that. I love that stuff. And yeah, fantastic work over there at MinMax. I need to get Kyle on this show. I'm also a huge fan of Kyle Bossman. We'll make that happen, everybody. Let's see here. Real quick, there was a bunch of people who joined Giant Bomb Premium on YouTube. Thank you, everybody who did that. If you're going to be doing that, you're going to be supporting Mike's Donkey Kong 64 stream, the marathon. It might be wrapping up today, so get in there and really enjoy that, and then go enjoy some premium content. If we get over the hump there with our new incentive, which I think we're going to be getting close to today, so it might happen, you're going to be able to vote on who you're blighting and what game they're going to be playing as part of a premium blight club, and that includes Jan and Jerf. And me and Ben are of the opinion, it's just the funniest if it's Jerf. It really is.
But hey, we can't sway the vote. You're your own person. Make your own choice, everybody.
Yeah, we can't sway the vote. That would be terrible. I would hate that. All right, let's see here. I think with all that out of the way, we got UPF happening later today, although I think that is probably going to be more Donkey Kong, everybody, because we just want Mike to get finished with that. We'll hang out. We'll talk about some of these other games. Next week, I do want to play some Forza on the website, multiplayer. I want to play some Subnautica 2 multiplayer on the website. We'll try to make all that happen, everybody. But Donkey Kong takes precedent, as of course it does. Donkey Kong 64. Yes. All right. It is time to wrap up the week with the Bomb 12. As I said, these are the 12 games that really matter to people who are really playing video games. Lots of submissions this week. Let's get into it with number 12 in its early access release. I should point out Forza Horizon 6. That's Forza Horizon 6. I checked. This is the $120 version. that people would have to be playing. It's already at 180,000 concurrent players on Steam with that.
Whoa.
So that is just nuts. And we know Forza Horizon 5 sold like 1 million copies when it was in its early access, like their version of early access, which is pay us more to play it early. It's probably going to replicate that, if not do even better this time. Number 11 is State of Decay 2. Number 10 is Hades 2. Number 9 is Slay the Spire 2. Number 8 is Domekeeper. Number 7 is The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. A lot of people playing that, probably because of that decomp version, Dusk. And if you're not, check it out. It seems pretty good. Number 6 is Vampire Crawlers. Number 5 is Diablo 4, Lord of Hatred. Number 4 is Pragmata. Number 3 is Marathon. Number 2 is Mixtape. And number 1 still is Soros. Yeah. What do you think, Ben?
Domekeeper. I love Domekeeper, but like, was there a big update I missed or something? What's going on here?
Yeah, I meant to mention that as well. There must have been some update, or there is the occasional like sort of fan push of like, hey, let's get something fun on the chart this week. Although I think we had a State of Decay 2, right? State of Decay 2 at number 11. So I think maybe we had a couple of those, but I think Domekeeper might have had an update. I feel like I saw that on Steam getting an update.
Yeah, it seems like they added multiplayer.
Yes,
in mid-April. Okay, got it.
All right, well, people are checking that out. But yeah, we'll get the results of next week's Bomb 12 on next week's Friday show. If you want to submit the game that you're playing for consideration, you can do that. Just go to giantbomb.com. If you scroll down, you're going to see this most up-to-date Bomb 12. It's up to date right now. And you go over to the left, there's a Vote Here button. Click that. It'll take you to the forum. Just type your game in there, and then come check back on this show next Friday, and we'll tell you what made the list. All right, with that all out of the way, time to wrap this show up for good. Ben Hanson, thank you for hanging out with me today and talking about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
You betcha. I'm happy to come back anytime.
We'll make it happen again soon. Thank you all for watching and listening. I say it every week, but it's especially true this week. You're the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.